Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the ABJ Podcast. Super excited for this one. Joel Ruda from Ruda Entertainment is going to be joining us here tonight. Make sure you check out the links below for all things ABJ, as well as my guests, to find merchandise, social media links, and all ways to support myself and my guests. If you want to check out these episodes earlier, we do have our Patreon. It's as little as $1 to join in, and you get that content earlier on a Monday and not just a Thursday. TeePublic is up and running. Also, our Teespring accounts, as well as a Pro Wrestling Tees, has just hit this market. I'm going to be honest, Pro Wrestling Tees is a great company. I don't expect to get much traction, but if someone says, "What the hell is the ABJ Podcast?" and seeks me out, that's the way we're doing it. But all of the logos are on TeePublic. All 200 and some of them that are out there now. Huge thank you to Logos by Hunter, as well as Witchcraft by Lily, Kai, as well logos by Kai, as well as Haley Stokes for all the amazing logos. They have been super supportive of this time where, right now the little on my downswing. So I'm trying to, find ways to make some money and keep this podcast alive. And those t-shirt sales have been super helpful. And those logos have been super helpful to get some new eyes on the product. So check out those links below as for all ways to support. And also make sure you support my guest. My guest tonight, Joel Ruda, is someone who I got to meet at PPW. He's a manager or a liaison, an agent. I'm not sure exactly what title he prefers. Big Dust, one of the best ringside guys next. He considers himself a buddy when he's out there. He's not a manager. He's the wrestler's buddy. Big Dust is a sweetheart. But it's an art form that I feel like is not utilized enough in certain promotions. Some promotions use it too much, but then there's some promotions who don't use it at all, and it's a very lost art. You look at the old school, golden age of professional wrestling. You had the Bobby Heenans out there, Jim Cornette. You had polarizing characters who were managers of teams, and if done right, it's a great role. And Joel does a great job of doing that. One of my favorite tag teams on the scene, Championship Material. They're super talented, good-looking dudes out there killing it every time at a show. He helps manage them, as well as his business, Ruda Entertainment, custom titles galore. I'm not a title guy because I don't have money, but if I did, my entire walls will be filled with Joel Ruda titles. They're absolutely amazing. He has everything from WWE, Impact, GCW titles. Last time I seen him, he's making custom titles for wrestlers when they come to cons. So if you recently just seen, I know this is airing later, but we're recording this in October. But a few weeks ago at Legends of Hamburg Fieldhouse, the Nation of Domination got together for the first time in years, and Joel made them all custom titles of the titles that they held. Mark Henry held the Big Gold, D'Lo's European Championship, and they're all Nation of Domination inspired. They're super cool. That photos all over line. That was Joel Ruda. That was all his work, his doing. He did a fantastic job doing it. So without further ado, I gave my intro. Hope it wasn't too long, but Mr. Ruda, Joel Ruda himself. What's going on, bud?
You put a massive smile on my face just with that buildup, man. That's great. And that was a great fucking memory too. That was a fun weekend.
Yeah. So let's dive there. Let's dive into the business aspect first with Ruda titles. So how did you find a way, or how did the reuniting of the Nation of Domination happen?
So that was Ken Hoover. Ken Hoover's a promoter in the business.
KH Promotions, right?
KH Promotions. There you go. Yep. So you know him, and that's what he does. He does meet and greets. And there was a moment just recently. I know you remember. There was a scene in BPW. I took a 4-way Samoan splash. Had Sean Maluda come down on me, Alpha, Lance, Jacob Fatu, all 4, and it resulted,
amazing, right,
dude? It ended up with a cracked rotator cuff, a slight fracture in my neck. Accidents happen, like shit happens. I got no bad blood, no bad feelings in it. It was a great spot, terrible idea, executed almost perfectly. But that laid me out on the shelf, and that's where I got talking to Ken. I was actually at an AXW event, which they have in Hamburg there. And I guess he had the idea of getting the Nation of Domination together. And I think the couple people he talked to were like, yeah, good luck. Like, go talk to Ruda. Maybe he'll talk to you. Because I'm sitting there injured, wondering if I'm even going to get back in a ring or get back into like that actively being involved in wrestling. Or maybe I just want to stick to the belts. And he came up to me and said, what if I could get, and started going through his whole idea. I was like, I'm in. Like, that's a no-brainer. If you can make it happen, I'm
One of
in.
my
And
favorite stables in professional wrestling. So underrated. Like, if there's no Nation of
man,
Domination, we don't get The Rock.
no, Nation of Domination and DX. I mean, that
Yeah.
was it. And that
Yep.
was, I mean, even just talking to like Ron for a weekend in the car, like we were together pretty much attached to by the hip for a weekend. And like, I remember being in freaking like probably fifth, sixth grade, watching him debut in that blue suit, like a Titan, you know, it looked god awful, which he even felt, you know, the same exact way. But it's what you do with those terrible gimmicks and terrible bookings that get you to the next level. And what they came up with in that nation and what it evolved into. And, you know, just to see those four guys now, how many years later? 20
Mhm.
years later, 25 years later, something like that. It's crazy.
And
And
the thing is too is that stable was representation for people of color. Like there
mhm,
wasn't really that, like Ron's the only guy in that point of time who's an African American world heavyweight champion. Like he's the only one, and then he's the leader of an all black stable in professional wrestling of strong, they were simulated Black Panthers, but that's essentially what it was.
that's
And
I
then
was
it
just gonna say that. Yep.
Yeah, and then it spawned this whole storyline that created, you know, The Rock and all this other thing, and then it's been attributed ever since. The Hurt Business is a representation of the Nation of Domination. Like every time that, you know, black stables are formed or that representation, it's not always the crime times or like, hey, they're partiers or gangsters. Like, no, they're strong, they're pout their culture, like the whole nine. And then, you know, the honorary Oos, where Sami Zayn joined the bloodline. That's straight out of the Nation of Domination with Owen Hart joining. You know what I mean? Like
Yep. Crush.
yeah, it was all part of that stable, and that stable's super important to the business.
They all became such big things too. Like the APA, they were
Yeah.
probably one of the most popular, most fun tag teams to watch. They were like the Stone Cold of the tag teams.
Yep.
D'Lo Brown, he was huge. Kama into the Godfather, like, I mean, come on, you know, Mark Henry. I literally just on my page posted the big gold title, which got me thinking back to like the Mark Henry days when he had his world title run. I mean, I don't care what anybody says as far as like the actual talent getting to have that position and what they do with it. I mean, I think I was watching the clip. It was I don't know where I came across it, but it was back when he thought he was retiring. Cena gets in the ring, gives him the Cena
Simon
rub.
Jacket.
The arms are up, and then turns around the world's strongest slam. When I was watching it back in the day, I just remember thinking like, they fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Finally, like this guy's gonna get to do. He had his match with Randy Orton. Boom, got the belt, and I mean, that's a guy that like should not have dropped the belt. Should have had like a Roman Reigns type of run. Like
Yep.
when you think about it, you put anybody in the ring against a guy like that. Like who's gonna take him out? Who's gonna put him down?
Yeah.
You know, like he's a guy I could have felt would have had a believable 1, 2, 3 year world title reign, no problem.
If you didn't make, you know what you should have done? You should have done. Oh, just now in retrospect. Oh
I
my
should have
god.
got in there and managed him. Teddy Long, he
No,
didn't do a
no,
good
you should
job.
have. You make mini belts. They're like wristwatches.
I have those.
You should have got a Halloween prop of a hand and put a little nation hand belt for his kid. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
You know, his long lost son that sexual chocolate hand. It's still one of my favorite moments in wrestling. Like when people say like, what is the most wild wrestling thing? And I'm just like, well, minus everything in Japan of like the butt thumb spots are Triple H seducing Stephanie McMahon and forced marrying her, which is a terrible storyline. Unfortunately, Gene Snitsky storyline is a tough one to talk about today. But Mark Henry having relations with at the time, what, 80-year-old
Maybe
woman?
older.
Yeah,
Yep.
and she gets pregnant and gives birth to just a grown man, not even like a baby hand.
Let's give her a hand.
Just a hand. It was a hand. It was a
That
white
would be
hand.
a good prop. That's a smart idea. That
So if
somebody would buy that.
yeah, if you ever run into Mark again, get the same belt, but a little the little tiny version and be like, this is for hand. We had hand and head are the two most over
Clever, you're
characters in
thinking.
professional wrestling.
The storylines they came up with and they got away with. Like, it's not like fans are going to be like, that's stupid, I'm not watching. It's like people go crazy over that stuff.
Val Venus, where he teams
I
up
was
with John
really
Bobbitt.
just
Yeah. The choppy PP, and
Choppy.
he's saved by John Bobbitt, who legit had his wiener cut off. Like, pro wrestling, baby. What a time.
Only in pro wrestling can you get
Yeah.
away with that stuff. Nowhere else.
And the nation, like right now, AEW is probably the closest thing to it. WWE's doing it again too. You have the Bloodline, and you have the LWO, and you have Judgment Day. But like at the time of the Nation, you had the Nation, then you had like the biker gang, then you had the corporate ministry, you had like the
Los
BWO.
Boricuas.
Yeah, there was like every group. It was like gang warfare. Like everyone had a little stable, and all the stables like went at each other. It was a dope time to be a wrestling fan.
Yep.
Yeah. So you guys got to. This is all coming together. You know what's going to happen. So when does the idea of, well, I'm going to make them all custom titles? Like you could have made a title for like the replica titles of the titles they won that represents them as people. But you took it another step further. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I'm a total mark for championships. Just since I was a kid, always been in love with them. Like that's, and kind of like, you were telling me earlier, like you'd be a collector of them if you had the money for them. Same thing. Like I would have had a million of them, but I couldn't afford one. I remember my buddy getting like the foam belts and thinking like those were the coolest things. We're having fake matches
I never even
to
had
fight
a
for.
foam one.
Yep.
Never even had
So,
one.
I mean, just to really take it back, when I first started, like a salesman would feel like comfortable having a business card. I always wanted like a prop and being a complete mark for belts. I wanted like my $1 million belt. And when I started wrestling, it was as a result of me being in, believe it or not, the life insurance business, right? Like I met a guy through a networking opportunity that got me into an independent wrestling company that evolved in me training and becoming a wrestler. And then how do I want to present myself? Well, I'll be this consultant with a life insurance championship. And I had like this massive wrestler, Vince Steele. I don't know if you know who that is.
No, I'm not sure.
But got paired up with this guy, Vince Steele. And the whole gimmick was you could fight for the championship, which comes with a big payday. But you got to take out a life insurance policy because I'm afraid my guy's going to kill you in the ring.
I love that.
Like I want to make sure your family's taken care of. So I had a belt made for that. And, like, next thing you know, wanted to get a different belt made. And I get into like looking out online of belt makers. And there were some that I ordered some from that were a complete fucking waste of money. Some that you pay for something and it's not what you get. Some that were getting better. And I just got paired up with this guy that really amazing quality. And I did enough business with him where promoters were like, hey, I need new belts. And that led to me helping out promoters with it. This guy basically told me, I could get him enough business where like it's him and his 3 brothers. They have their own business together. They don't want to take it from anybody else and be completely inundated with it. So we pretty much work something out where I'm like their sales guy. They're the producers. And, have a great setup with them to do that. So when this came up, it was like, why don't we have a custom belt made for him? Yeah. And it was really badass, a cool opportunity to do. I got a bunch of them signed by him. I'm a collector guy, like I don't have a big collection, but I believe in having collector pieces. I see you have a bunch of stuff behind you there, and I can appreciate
a lot of this
like
is just free crate stuff. But I do have this is my thing right here. I have my Wembley scarf that I got in London.
Dude, that must have been a hell of an experience.
So I collected figures for a while, and then when I recently had my separation, I was like, I'm opening all of them and I'm putting them on display. Like I was like, I have nowhere to put them, so I just put them on display. So I opened a bunch of figures. My goal is, here's my goal: if I get a job and I get all the equipment I want, because there's some stuff I want to get for the podcast, but I want to get more shelvings and I want to put it along the sides. But my goal is I want to collect the entire Hasbro line. I've never had the entire Hasbro line. I want to collect that whole line. That's my bucket list.
I have a visual memory where I can still feel like the packaging on the wall, smell the air, taste the air in Toys R Us, Christmas season, walking down the aisle, seeing all of them, being like, I want those. My dad being like, no, we can't afford it.
I
It's
had a
like,
lot of them. I had a
and then
lot of
yeah,
them.
next thing you know, you got them for Christmas. That was the best line.
Yeah.
Period.
I they were my favorite growing up. I had a bunch of them. Um, I've told the story before, but like those Hasbro's are ever like so. Mother Teresa came to my town, and here I built a garden for her and didn't know it because I was like this young kid and didn't know what I was doing. And I lived behind a church, but next to like a nunnery house. So I'm with these
Okay.
nuns every summer. We build this garden. I'm trying to like speed the story up. So then Mother Teresa comes to Monty City. It shuts the town down. Like everyone's losing their mind.
Legit
Everyone's
Mother
like,
Teresa.
legit Mother Teresa. So she comes out. So I live in the alley behind the church. She speaks to everybody in front of the church and then comes out the back door. Everything in our alley is shut off. No one's allowed to be there. And she walks from behind the thing in front of my house and then back to the nun house. And I'm on my front porch playing with my Hasbro's and I'm wrestling Hogan versus Macho Man because I was a Macho Man guy and I always hated that Macho Man never beat Hogan. And I recreated that match as much as possible. So I'm on the porch and I'm playing with them. And she comes out, and the nuns who were like I was cool with are like whispering to her, like, that's the kid who helped build the garden. So she like looks up at me and she waves me down. And my dad's like, oh shit. Because I'm like also extremely ADHD and has no filter my whole life. So he has no idea what I'm about to say to Mother Teresa. You know what I mean? Like he's shitting
Fuck
bricks.
out of here.
I go down the steps, toys in hand, and I walk up. I go, "What's up, mother?" Like, and I didn't know her name. They just been telling me for years that the mother's coming. So I'm just like, "What's up, mother?" Like, I thought she was Mother Mary
How
because
old
they
are
put
you
the
at this
mother.
point?
I'm like 7, if that younger. And I have and she's like, "Well, okay, thank you for building the garden for me." I'm like, "No problem. It was a blast. I planted flowers." And she's like, "What do you got there?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm up there having SummerSlam, and this is Hulk Hogan, and this is Macho Man Randy
Ooh,
Savage." And I'm doing the
yeah.
voices, and I'm like, and they're fighting up there for the title. And she's just like, cool. And she just like, bless you, and walked away. But like, she died. She heard Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan in her life, and it's all because of this kid right here. But I lost everything in a house fire. All my everything, like my whole childhood, lost everything. So just a couple weeks ago, I'm doing a DJ job and I'm talking to this kid. And we're best friends growing up, and he had all the Hasbro's, and I guess he's kept collecting them and getting sets and sets and sets of them. And he's like, "Well," he's like, "Yo, you lost everything?" I was like, "Dude, everything." He's like, "Oh, and like you're in the wrestling business now. Like it's crazy. Like we watched Brett versus Sean." And almost got into a fist fight because he's a Brett guy and I'm a Sean guy. And he walked out with the title, and I was like, "You did it, boyhood dreams, suck it, Bret Hart." Like it was heat. There was heat there. But he was like, "Yeah, man, like that's crazy that like you finally got to where like you were obsessed with as a kid, and here you are." And he's like, "Yo, I got you something." And he's like, "Well, what was your?" He asked me a few months before that. He's like, "What was your favorite figure?" I was like, "Man." I said, I actually tried to look up my favorite figure to rebuy it to have it on display, but it's like $200. He's like, "Which one?" I go, Sean with the black and silver pants. Like that was like the rare one. And I walk into the bar and he walks up to me and hands it to me. Like it's perfect. It's not, there's no scuffs. Not the arms work amazing. Like I was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Dude, keep it. I have a bunch of them." And I was like, "Yo!" So this is the rebirth of my collection. It's gonna be my Hasbro.
Man, so me and my buddy, we used to have like pay-per-views that we would film. His parents had like a handheld camera, so
Yeah,
we were like,
yeah,
let's make pay-per-views. And when we got old enough and like we're like moving on to like, bigger things in school, we basically had death matches for like all the figures. And like we had the bug spray and the lighter and like like he's on fire in my buddy's garage of all fucking places. Flames up in ring or up in the rings up in flames. And we torched like half of his like what we look back on as like classic figures, and he had, I mean, everything. And we're like, fuck
yeah.
did
He
we do?
thousands of dollars
Son
he put
of
on the
a
fire.
bitch.
So I was so keen on like protecting my stuff as a kid, which sucked because that's why I took care of everything. Like everything was mint. Like I would play with it, but I would take such good care of it. All gone anyway. But like I remember going to my buddy's house and he had the figures. And he's like, "We're gonna have a first blood match." And I go, "How?" And he pulls out like a red Sharpie. He's like, "Well, to just draw on them with the blood," because like he's seen the figures that were sold like that, right? And I was like, "That's a good idea." And I was like, "Well, how are you gonna wash it off?" He's like, "Who cares?" I go, "You're not using my figures." And he's like, "What do you mean?" So even at like a younger age,
You
I went
knew.
and then like around that time, that's when like they just hit the scene, the washable markers. So remember when they had markers that would wash off? So you would get the red washables and you just dab it and it was like really, really wet and it would just like run down like blood and then you just run them under the sink and there's no more blood. And that was like a game changer for blood matches for figures. I was like, we could do blood. Like going to the store, buying a pack of markers, throwing the rest of them out and just keeping the red.
That's hysterical.
Man. But yeah, I love nostalgia wrestling. It's so good.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
So when you finally got your first belt, like you made these guys, you get your belt, you made your custom belt. When did you start collecting then? Like because you made these guys, like you started your own collection?
Yeah, I mean, I had like there was even a time I was working with Gene Snitsky. I created a belt like the United States Championship. So like I had one made by him. He ended up signing it. So like, yeah, just one thing turned from that to like creating new belts for myself. I went to another one and I'm looking at it right now, the Open Challenge Championship. That was another belt that Alpha actually used and defended for me.
That's awesome.
It was like, I mean, there's different material that you can get, either brass or zinc. Brass is like a lot lighter, cheaper, more for kids. Zinc is like heavy duty, stuff that you see more on the scene. D'Lo actually just got a belt from me. He wanted to order his purple Intercontinental Championship, the purple one with the old school WWF logo on it.
Yeah. Wait, there was a purple version of the Intercontinental Championship?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I never knew that.
He held it. Godfather held it. Yep.
I never knew. I always knew of the blue, the white, and the black, the ones that like the three different ones that Sean held for his run.
Yep.
But I never knew about the purple one. That's crazy.
Yep. I mean, but
the yellow one too. The yellow one was Warrior, right? Yellow.
I have
Warrior
that one.
He had the yellow one.
Yeah, this is the one that I had with Alpha. And this shit's heavy as hell, man. This is like my version of Big Gold.
Yeah.
The Open Challenge Championship.
It looks heavy. Holy
the details deep on it. But like, how do you not love this stuff? Like, if you were a wrestling mark, man, like, how do you not love having a title and then you create one for yourself?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, like, it's your own.
I love the Signature Series ones that WWE make where they take an idea and then like morph it to beat the wrestler. You have I seen on your Instagram, you have a version of it for Demolition. You have a Demolition title.
Yep.
That one came out good. Like that's yeah. I always wanted the Shawn Michaels one, but then it left the shelves and it was like a normal decent price one. It was like $400 for like the Shawn Michaels one. But then they made a new Shawn Michaels one. It's like $800, $900. I'm like, come on. Like,
dude, they can be so expensive. That's partly why I got into this too, is, I do enough business where I can get some pretty good deals, which, I do this as like a fun side hobby. So if I can get somebody something where, like what you would pay for online for what people call a deluxe championship, you're paying like $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 for something like D'Lo's getting. Even when he was looking at it, he's like, man, like these things cost like $1,200. How much if I want to get it? And you can get something easily half price, $400 or $500. I like making sure people can get the badass stuff for like a super affordable price. Like I'm not looking to make, no, not at all. And that's the thing is like you get something off of like, I don't want to talk down on WWE Shop. These are their belts. You know what I mean? Like not these, but like it's their championships out there. We're making replicas of them. But if you get something through the shop, it's like a stiff leather. It's good for display. Mm-hmm. If you're walking around at a show and you're carrying it, it feels more like a toy. When you come across something like this and you got super floppy leather, it's super heavy. It looks and feels more like the real thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of like, with clothing. Are you going to pay for like a good hoodie or something that's got like a brand name across it that makes you feel better about wearing it because it's got the company logo on it?
Yeah. Well, the first time I really seen your belts was at Hamburg, the night that you had Deanna with you, Deanna Prazo.
Yep.
And you did one of the coolest things I've ever seen anyone do. So if you know the scene, Gavin's this little kid who comes to all the shows. He's super supportive. He's such a sweetheart kid. Like this kid's having more wrestling experiences in the last 2 years that I wish I had at his age. And you just gave him a title. You're like, here, bud, take this title home. And not only did you give the title, but you gave him a replica of a mistake title, which who does that? Like, you have the Macho Man silver because when he went home and polished it,
The
he took all the
Brasso belt.
the
Yep.
brass. So here's a photo of little Gavin with Deanna, and that's your belts. Like, there's a GCW, the ECW titles, the Intercontinental Yellow, the big 10 pounds of gold. He's dressed up as Orange Cassidy. I forgot he was wearing my T-shirt. That's cool. But then there's the title, and then like he carried it around. The title's bigger than him. He's like,
Still carries it around.
Yep. Yeah, he's like, Dad, carry it. This is heavy. But like your titles are gorgeous. Like, another one here. Like, that's it. That's the belt, baby. I don't like the fact that Brett's in that photo. You need to replace Brett with Shawn. That's the
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. But that's the WWF insignia. So if you go and buy that from WWE Shop, you're getting the new WWE logo where that old school WWF is. And that's where you're going to get that difference in titles. And like I said, then I got to see your titles firsthand when you made them for the promotion win. And my God, those tag team titles are absolutely gorgeous. So not only are you making titles for replicas for fans, but these are quality enough titles that like there could be used for promotions. Like, how do you feel now that, you know, it's one thing to give a fan an experience where you can give them a really high quality belt at affordable pricing, but now those same quality, you're showing this fans, like, not only are you walking around with a title that could be used on TV, these are the same titles that promotions now are using. Like that opens up new doors. Like, so now if someone goes to, like, say, I don't know if PPW's ever cashed in on you yet with this, but like, if they have new titles coming, but if a fan's like, I would love a replica of that title, you can now be that guy who's like, you own your own version of the PPW championship or AXW or win. And then you get your, like, that's a cool new dynamic that you bring to the table being part of that team because you can get the titles made. Like, that's neat.
Totally. BPW, PPW wrestling is now New Evolution Wrestling, Colossal Championship Wrestling, Legendary Action Wrestling, a couple of them, you know, like, so and the quality's out there, man. Like, the fact that, I mean, like you're saying, like, that the feeling that I get from that standing in the room. Are you talking about the trio tag team titles I had made for them, or the tag team?
The tag team.
Yeah, the style alone and the color is badass. They're made off of the old school, what is it? The United States Championship.
Yeah.
And on the belt strap, there's a little, like a remembrance for a tribute for Trent Acid, for Jay Briscoe. You know, so to know that, like, these guys are presenting this show using these as their focal point tag team titles, it's a tribute to two amazing talents out there. Like, when I see the pictures and getting posted and people holding up these belts, it's like, I remember the first picture and the design.
Yeah. Deshaun Pratt and Boom Harden are current tag team champions of those right now, as of this recording.
Yep. And in my phone, like, I have the pre-concept, the drawings, the edits, what it's turned into, the production of the plates getting made, you know, and that's the beauty of the process too. Is, I mean, what I love the most about just pure wrestling and pro wrestling in general, but especially with the belts, is you take a concept from your mind, you take a fucking picture of it, and next thing you know, it's that physical thing in your hand that you literally just created out of an idea. Like, that's the power of not just like us, but like wrestling too. You know, like, we're true dreamers, and you literally, whatever you want to make happen, you can bring it a physical form and then put it on display for everybody else to watch and enjoy.
Yeah. Without saying any other belt makers' names or putting anyone down, like, there's one I was looking at the other day, and it literally was like, for $300, they like, will make you your fantasy football championship title belt. And I was like, $300, like, that's insane. And then I look at the belt, and it literally looks just like a piece of metal with like laser engraving on it, and there's no detail, there's no nothing, and it just says fantasy football championship, and the leather's not great, and then it falls apart, and it's just like $300, like, around that, like, that's like your baseline for your entry level belts, which are still better than those. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
no, I could do even better than that. For $300, you can get something very, very nice. No problem.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so definitely check out Ruda Entertainment's website. It's like a 30-minute infomercial, but I don't care. That's the but are you guys doing any my heart's in the AEW right now. I love AEW. I like their titles. Have you made any AEW replicas yet?
I do have an AEW replica.
Really? The big gold?
Oh yeah.
Like they're big gold? Yeah. So good.
I was just making some videos on it the other day.
No, I love the new trios tag teams, but I'm not paying $5,000 for it.
No, but like for real, if you wanted those trios made, I could probably have all three of them made for less than $1,500 for you. Not for you, but like for anybody that wants them. Like not $5,000 for one, 15 for three. Like that's, and they would be, truthfully, they'd probably be a lot nicer too. Because when I see them like throw them over their shoulder, I can see the leather's just a little stiff. These would be floppy as fuck. They'd be probably a lot heavier too.
Yeah.
You know, it's
good to know because I want a Scissor Me title, so I may be hitting you up if your boy gets some cash. I love them. I love them so much. Then there's like content creators out there, Tantalizing Tony, who I think a lot of content creators have their own titles, and I think Tony's is the nicest. That scumbag took the winged eagle idea. You know what I mean? Like that belt is my heart and gold, and I told him that we actually made a deal for one of his belts that I said Cody Rhodes will main event WrestleMania, not Sami Zayn, and he took the winged eagle title and made it his own. But without giving anything away, he's doing a yearly Mania title, which is exciting. He showed me a little bit of what the new one's going to look like, but it came out gorgeous. It's a great looking title, the winged eagle. So you're making, like I said, that's the customization. You're doing it for your promotions. You can make, if you're a Triple H fan, you want a custom Triple H and you have an idea, they can get it done. But so many different avenues you can go to. The links are below if you want to hit up Joel Ruda for his championships. I think he's pulling something out at the black screen. He went to the dark. He's hiding. We're getting a reveal.
Flexing it right now, baby.
Your camera's not on. We can't see you. Oh, we'll see if the camera cuts on. I'm going to kill dead air while we're waiting. But yeah, and here's a photo just to kind of pull it up. Here is Ruda with the Nation of Domination with each one of their titles. We lost him for a second, so we'll wait till he pops back in. But there is the Nation there in all their glory. Big gold, the IC. I think Ron here has another version of the big gold, but that's everyone there kind of flexing it with Joel and the Nation.
Hell yeah, man. That was a great time. I got exactly what you were just talking about.
Oh, so
look at this sucker.
So a lot of people like the dual plated one. That's fine, but that like the dual plated is Hogan's version of that belt, correct? And then when it went to Brett and Sean, it went solid, right?
I actually couldn't tell you the difference of that. I just know like our guy started making like these HD plates, so it's got like the 3D kind of look on it there.
Oh yeah, I see the
dual plate on it.
The feathers are really popping out there. Now on the side plate, do you have the WWE champion, like that little WWE championship thing? There it is. That's so sick. I love that belt. That is the best. Where do you rank? Like, what are your top 5 belts? Like, if all-time favorite belts, how do they go for you?
Man, they're probably all a lot of these in the golden era, they call it.
Yeah.
The classic Intercontinental Championship, like the Razor Ramon, the Shawn Michaels, like that, hands down for me.
What color? Do you like the white, the black, or the blue?
I'm looking at the black right now. The white's cool. Good. I got one that was just signed by Marty Jannetty, which was cool because I remember being 10 years old watching that Monday Night Raw when he won. That's another thing. Like I remember sitting on the couch that night. I remember that.
This is the new Walmart. It's a mix between the LGN and the when LGN made the what were they, the AWA or the figures, and they also made the He-Man figures, so they were all like extra jacked more than they should have been. So they're recreating that figure line, but with WWE. But Sean came with the Robin Egg blue IC title,
the blue one.
Yeah, I think it's the only. I think someone told me that's the only time that figure a figure has had that blue IC title. But yeah, IC title, gorgeous.
That's up there right here. Yeah, I think this was one of the nicest ones.
Yeah,
but I think
the tag team titles in that area is really good. Those tag team titles, they're really good.
I got that one too. I got it signed by Ron Simmons.
I
The WCW US title, I think, is probably one of my top three.
Yeah, that's a really good title too. Big Gold is always up there. That's a really good title. I love
Solid
AEW's
title.
World Championship. I love AEW's Tag Team Championships. I think they have really nice looking Tag Team Championships. I think version 2 of the Women's Championship looks better. I did not like version 1. I thought it was too small. It looked good on Rio, but like when it went on anyone else, it was like it looked like a paper clip. It was too tiny.
No, I think a championship needs to have like the big plate on it, something dominant that shows like a champion. You know what I mean? It looks so small. Like even for a woman, it's like, man, that's tiny.
Yeah,
It
so
looks
when they
small on
upgraded
Rhea.
it looked better when they upgraded it. I'm not a huge fan of the Big W title. I think the black and gold, just because it's my favorite color scheme, looks good now on Roman. But that new title, like their new version of the Big Gold, it's grown on me. Like I don't hate it as much as I did when they first announced it. Like the more you see it on TV, you're like, okay, that looks like a good championship.
It's an updated title.
The women's, I think it looks better on the white strap. I think Rhea's looks real. I think Seth's looks good on black, but I think the white strap on Rhea's looks amazing.
Very classy. Yeah, I like it. Just gives it character. You know what I mean? Like the thing about world titles is like something that I think of as like the Impact Women's World Title, which is very much like the AEW style with the multiple plates.
Yeah.
But like something that stands out, that has character. The undisputed title from back in the day that Angle held and that Lesnar held. You know, Taker, Hogan, that was cool. It had some serious character to it. The Winged Eagle is, man, it's beautiful. They're like, it's nice when a belt has character, but a big W, it's
another underrated belt no one talks about. It should be talked about in the top 5. Lucha Underground's title.
It reminds me of the Bellator belt from back in the day, like one of the original Bellator belts.
And then you had to put all the pieces to get, like you had to win the pieces to put,
or not Bellator, WEC.
Yeah. But I love the Aztec title, like that Lucha Underground title. That's another good one. But all right, well, let's shift gears here a little bit. We kind of talked a little bit about it. You were in the insurance agency and kind of going that route. How did you fall into the world of professional wrestling then?
Yeah, so I definitely never even the goal, never a thought. I mean, if I could base my childhood down to one thing, is like a phrase that was always stuck in my head is like not everyone swims with Shamu. Right? Like not everyone gets to do the cool job. And that was something that my dad would always say is like, you know, not everyone gets to swim with Shamu, like be realistic kind of deal. So it was never on the radar at all. And we had talked earlier, I switched gears. I left Atlantic City. I moved out to New York City, switched careers. I left the hotel industry. I moved into the insurance industry out of complete desperation. And oddly enough, I'm at a barbecue on Roosevelt Island. It was, I think, July 2014. And got a call from a guy 2014, 2016. Because February 18th was when I debuted. On my birthday, February 18th, 2017 was when I debuted as Mr. Ruda on my first show. But I'm at this networking event just with my team. And I get a call from a guy that knows Gene Snitsky, who just friend of a friend said, hey, we're out in Hoboken enjoying cigars at the Hoboken cigar shop. If you want to come by. And are you familiar with Hoboken at all?
A little bit, not too much though.
Like down where the subway is, down or not by the like where the train comes in, where the boats come in. It is it's always busy. No matter when you're there, it's always busy. If you're looking for parking, it's non-existent. Me and my buddy Roberto, we go through the city, we get into Hoboken, and as we're pulling around the corner, right where the cigar shop is, probably one of the most popular parts that you could be in, we see this car right across the street pull out, and we pull right in. Like it was nothing. We're like, holy shit.
Like fate. They're like destiny.
Dude, I couldn't write a better story for this. So we go in, we're talking. I meet this guy, Frankie Flo. He's got his legendary action wrestling promotion. Did a lot of it in like Spanish Harlem area. But I basically told him, I said, listen, I work for a life insurance company. I know you got a lot of families that come to your show. I'd be happy to make child IDs. You know, talk to the parents if they want any information, but just to be there. And he thought it was a great idea. I came in, I watched a show or two, never really led anywhere. but it was right around the time that Lesnar was facing Goldberg in Survivor Series, right? And I just pitched this idea to him. I'm like, could you imagine if like Heyman and Lesnar brought in this life insurance agent and they made like all of his opponents take out life insurance policies? It's like, oh, that's a great idea. We should do that. I'm like, oh, cool. It's like, when do you want to start training? I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, no, if you're going to be a manager for this, you'd be fine with taking bumps, right? And next thing you know, I'm in a ring learning how to take bumps. I literally debuted February 18th, 2017 on my birthday. Had this, it was a match with this guy, Vince Steele, that I told you. I don't know if you've ever heard of Psycho Clown.
Yeah.
Yep. So Vince Steele versus Psycho Clown. Psycho Clown beats him. They think they're going to take my life insurance title from me. We pull out this whole scene. The next thing you know, Psycho Clown, boom, clotheslines me. I did this 360. It was crazy. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I just knew I'm going to turn around after trying to hit him with the belt and taking this big ass clothesline. I had no idea how it was going to turn out. I'll send you the clip after the show so you can see it. Oh man, that's from there. It's been the history, like I just kept going show to show to show to promotion to promotion. I ended up in Evolve.
I love the fact that you trained, because there's some people who get into the manager spot and they've never taken a bump. They never train. A lot of people say to me, like, when are you going to become a manager? I said, no. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, I can't take bumps. My joint disorder will not allow me to be a wrestler. So I did a referee spot the other night. Like, I just jumped in as a ref because I needed a ref for a match. I was like, I'll do it. Like, that's not a big, like, I felt weird doing it because I feel like you should be trained, but like I did go to a couple trainings and just do like referee while they're kind of working and training. So I did a little bit of it, but like, I respect it, that the fact that you went in and you learned how to take bumps properly and all that. Cause some people just go in there and do it because they're like, I'm a good personality. I shouldn't have to go do what everybody else does. But the fact that you did, I think that earns more respect for people. I think a lot of people just try to jump the line and get in there and be like, well, I trained way back in the day, or I'm really, really funny, so I should just be in there. It's like, no, that's not how it should work. Like, that's why I'm like, I'll stay on commentary. That's where I belong. You know what I mean? Because to get in the ring, you have to earn that. You have to earn that. You don't just get in there.
Definitely. Evander James and Montekia. I'll give the two of them credit for me properly learning how to take a bump. Finally, it was the two of them gave me the right coaching I needed because I just couldn't get it down. And
they're two amazing talent.
And never once had a rough bump after that, man. So, yeah, right in the Bronx Wrestling Federation, man. BWF in the Bronx.
Love that. So when you came to PPW, how long have you been established then before you entered the PPW scene?
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, so I did Legendary Action Wrestling. I was with them for a little while. Ended up leaving that, and we'll just say that something happened around like the end of my LAW run that made me say, you know what? It was a fun experience. Time to move on. Like, I'm good. And then next thing you know, I heard Evolve was having a seminar in Brooklyn. Adam Cole was going to be there. Buddy of mine was like, I don't know if you want to check this out or not.
My favorite.
And next thing you know, I'm on an Evolve card. I'm talking to Adam Cole backstage. I find out he's from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Not Allentown, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Because he told me he's from Orlando. I'm like,
no, you're not.
Where were you before Orlando? He said, yeah, exactly.
Actually, him and Matt Riddle are both, I think, technically from the Lancaster area.
And I'm originally from Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. So another small town area. He was familiar with it. But I was on the Evolve card. One show led to another show, led to working with Rhea Ripley, Keith Lee, Tommaso Ciampa. We were at La Boom, and then pandemic hit. Done. It was like, fuck.
Yep.
And I have Gabe Sapolsky. They all moved
to Florida.
And they all moved. I watched every single person. My very first night in Evolve was Austin Theory's last. I remember standing behind the curtain, watching him do a little celebration of his send-off to WWE because he had just gotten his contract, which is pretty crazy. And then I'm watching all of them go to WWE, and I had Gabe Sapolsky telling me just, like, go get reps. That's the best I can tell you. Go get some reps. So I ended up with this company, New Evolution Wrestling. Pandemic, again, was kind of like a drag on everything. We tried to force a comeback show, and we ended up in Broadheadsville. And that's where, at one of our New Evolution Wrestling shows, that first one back from the pandemic, Tony, owner of PPW, saw me and was like,
was that the one where, speaking of Lucha Underground, is that the one that Mila Mortez was at?
yeah, he chokeslammed me in that
Yeah.
match. Yep.
You know what's hilarious? I met him not at that show, at a different one, and watching Lucha Underground, I always thought he was huge. Like, I thought he was like a 7 foot, 6 foot tall dude. And
He's a big dude.
He's big, but like height wise, he's around my height. And I was like, yo, no disrespect, but I thought you were taller. He's like, because I'm wrestling Ray Phoenix and Pentagon. And I'm thinking those guys are like this big. He said, but he was a fun conversation. Like I was like, dude, you're like the Lucha Underground Undertaker. Like you were sick there. Like he like got to pick his brain a little bit. He was super cool.
Very nice guy. Yeah, that choke slam was probably one of the most fun choke slams I've ever taken too, because he was relentless, and his one arm easily could throw my 130-pound ass around because I came up and like a rainbow, man. But again, thank God I know how to at least land properly, and it's like you were saying, not anybody can just get in and do that, because what these guys do, every single time I begin a show and I end a show, I'm thinking, these guys are doing a long ass match with these moves. I brace myself for a 1. That's it. I'm getting one good bump, and these guys take them one after another, and
every weekend, sometimes twice a weekend, sometimes double shots on the same day.
I don't think people realize what they go through, and I got the best seat in the house now. I managed to get not even past the front row, past the guardrail, and I don't have to be in the ring. I get to sit ringside, and every single chop, every single slam,
or when a strike, when the strike's a little snug, you're like, ooh, that was in.
That's real, man. I feel every single one of those. Oh my God. Even sitting here talking about it, I can hear the crack.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how they do it, dude. I don't know how they do it.
So you kind of spun off a character at PPW when I first met you. You were kind of like, you were leaning a little into the political spectrum, where you were making wrestling great again, and the sunglasses, and you were like really healing it up, which is funny because at PPW that was probably like your hero, because that's like you're in their country. You know what I mean? Like, you drive to PPW, all it is just signage. Like, he was robbed.
When it started, so that was in LAW. Like I said, our shows were in Spanish Harlem. So me and Frankie are talking. He's like, if we're gonna bring you in and you're gonna be new, we got to do something that's gonna just, these people can't like you. You need to be heel. I'm like,
Trump supporter.
I'll be a Trump supporter. Like, I got a great idea. Trump, I'll be Trump's, personal advisor or whatever. And that was like, Trump, my buddy, my pal, and one of my favorite clients, and boo.
Yep.
And it's just that every time I came out there, I threw that line out there, and just talk about an easy way to get heat. But that's the thing. You said I'm in Trump country now. So like, if I come out there with a "Make America Great Again" hat on, people are gonna start cheering the guy. You're
gonna walk out like Rudy. They're gonna put you on the shoulder.
Yeah, dude, they'll love me. That's an easy way to get over around here. So yeah, I definitely had to. That was another thing from Gabe too. Is like, he did a lot of one-on-one seminars. He still offers them, but it was during the pandemic. I thought, if I'm gonna spend any money on anything while I'm trapped indoors, and I'm gonna spend any time with anybody, why the hell not pick that guy's brain? Gabe is
absolutely
one of the best in the business, and he's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me, switch the character up, switch the gear up, switch the look up. Like, every show, try something different, because you'll find something that sticks and that works. And it's like, you're doing the same thing over and over again, you're never going to give yourself a chance to grow. So that was pretty much, to your point, I lost the glasses, I lost the vest. I started dressing a little bit more casually, but now at PPW, I'm trying to dress a little bit more seriously. And I guess it just depends on the role, what's expected of me that night. Try to fit a different look for summer.
So are you like I haven't been at PPW in a while, but are you like the GM now? Is that what
I am?
You're playing like a GM role? Okay, that's cool. I know like the talks at first were supposed to be you and Joe were going to fight for a GM role.
So Joe was the one that won control of it. I was just, the manager that was like his side piece,
And
the
then he
other
got
person
sick
that
and
was in
stuff.
the
I
gig.
hope he's good. I haven't talked to him. I should reach out. I know he was going through some rough spots there.
Yeah, I know he was dealing with some personal issues. I
Yeah.
mean, kind of like, I always want people to check out on me, but I also don't want anybody to ask if anything's wrong. Like when I got injured, I had people posting things up on Facebook. I'm like, fucking take that down. Like, I don't want the attention. I don't
Yeah.
want people
That's
checking
why
in on
when
me.
I seen it at the show, I was like, "You good?" And you're like, "I'm good." And I was like, "All right."
Yes, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but like I don't want, like, I don't know how other people feel in those situations. Everyone's
Yeah.
always coming at you. But point is, I hope he's good. But with him being out, I was asking Tony, I'm like, what's going on with that storyline? It's like nothing. You want to do it? And we just figured, like, yeah, why the hell not? It'll be a different angle. It's kind of like the MJF role right now. You're taking the world's biggest asshole and turning him fan favorite. So is it legit? Am I actually turning a good leaf? Is there a hidden scumbag in me waiting to flip the car down the road? So the cool thing is the fans, there's some that are buying into it. There's some I go for a fist pump and they're like,
Yeah.
they're flipping their roll and they're flipping me off. I'm like, come on, I'm trying here.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. There was a segment on this last show where I had to restart a match for it ended with the
I
heel
seen it.
winning.
I seen
Brian,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And to have
I don't want to give
everybody
too much away because he's very protective of his character, but I'm a big fan of the Mecha. I think he's insanely good, and I've been hearing such. Like, I don't want to give too much away, but I also want to give him his roses. But like, since not being there, I get reports of like how the story's going and how things are going because I do care about PPW. Like, it sucks that I can't drive there or be there to support. Like, hopefully that changes soon, but like the Mecha, from what I've been hearing, like he's become a locker room leader. Like he's taking like
totally.
he's not just walking around a title and showing up every month. Like he's back there helping with promos. He's back there making sure storylines are cohesive. He's making sure it's not just his storyline's good, but he's helping everyone around him. And that's why I like the guy. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
And I seen the promo where he was kind of chasing you backstage and it was a one take deal and it looked great. Like,
yeah, after I ran away and I came back, he was there cutting his promo and I stand there in amazement. Like the guy is intense. He's off the cuff. And it's totally fucking natural. Everything he says is spot on and total locker room leader. Like he wanted that role. He wanted that belt to work with the newer guys, to push the guys, to get some notoriety and some credibility and a good lesson in the ring. And I mean, the last couple months have been stellar. The matches have been great. He definitely got Soriano over. Not that he needed to be put over, but like that match and the ending to it, to be out, that was a first face feel I've ever had. I've been nothing but booed for the past 5, almost 6 years. To even hear half the area when he won, people chanting Ruda was like, I know what I just
is
did for
happening?
not just the fans. Exactly. It was like, but that's the power that not me, that Adrian Soriano had.
Yeah.
To be that
Primal
over
Fear is a
that
good team.
anybody,
They're a good group, guys.
all three of them just have a great thing going on. But that's how you can see how someone can move a crowd. You are influenced and being associated with in one way, shape, or form with somebody, positive or negative, and you feel it like totally.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of, and I heard he's been doing really good stuff there. Dio Bando, Dio, yeah. That kid's gonna be a bright spot. Like I came in, like I was there when he first started. And I was like, yo, if this kid's got charisma, like
Tag team champion in BPW, TV title, TV champion in PPW, and charisma. And that guy,
he's gonna be a big deal.
Like Seth Rollins wearing the most ridiculous outfits, Dio Bando can make the most ridiculous outfits look spot on, perfect.
He's got swag. He's got swag.
Yeah, dude, totally.
Got it. He's so good. He's another one that if I start coming back, even if I'm not in a role at PPW, because like listen, when you step away, people fill shoes, and that's just the way it is. I wouldn't expect anything, but I would just come back as a fan and just enjoy the content and see what's going on. But him and the Mecha would be two huge broad spots of why I would go, like why I would watch that promotion. Like they're just very talented. Rembrandt,
Dio and Nolan
I miss
Pierce.
Rembrandt. He's still doing stuff there. I'm a huge Rembrandt fan. Like it's a good locker room. I miss it. I miss the guys there. Everyone's super cool. Watching Paul stress every show is a lot of fun. Just give me a second.
It's a good show. It's a good crowd. And like my buddy, he used to always take his kid there. It's like
It's a good
thing
it's a
to
good
do. So
yeah, it's a good family friendly show.
yep, to now be on part of the card is just at the GM. It's
A lot of
you never
fun.
know where it can lead. You never know.
So what are your future plans? I know this is airing possibly new year. We're not really sure how this is dropping, but what do you have future plans for Mr. Ruda and your businesses and your professional wrestling?
Dude, I have no long-term goals. I don't worry about yesterday. I don't worry about tomorrow. I worry about today. I make plans. So I know that I've got Friday bookings once a month for BPW, Saturday bookings for their pay-per-view show, a future show, a PPW show. I know 4 times a month I'm performing. I'm living day to day to get there. And wherever it takes me, man, I'm ready to go. It's
I
pretty
love
much
your
it.
work ethic. I love that attitude. You're always a bright spot, man. It sucks I don't get to see as much as I used to, but once I get back on my feet, we'll have to link up somewhere and hang out. The business
Totally.
is doing great. I love seeing your belts getting created. I love seeing people being happy when they get them. Keep it up, man. I love what you're doing. I'm a big fan of you as a person and everything you got going on. Where can people find you on social media?
They can find me on Mr. Ruda, at Mr. Ruda 218, Ruda.entertainment on Instagram. And I think I'm trying to think of what my TikTok is. Running off the cuff, not too sure.
Just type in Mr. Ruda. If it pops up, we'll get it going. But the links will be below too. I'll do the legwork. I'll find it all. And then also your website. Go to the website and order some belts.
RudaEntertainment.com. Yep.
There it is. Everyone, thank you so much. Joel, thank you again so much for everything you got going on and coming on and doing this. This platform's always open. I do have some stuff that probably by the time this airs, people have already seen it. Like I'm doing like movie reviews, and then me and Brian are always doing that tornado tag on Thursdays. So if there's ever a topic you want to jump in on with us, or just if you're free on a Thursday and you want to jump in and shoot the shit with us, you're always welcome.
It's Halloween time. Check out 100 Acres of Hell. It was a movie I made with Gene Snitsky, Afo Anawahi, and Samu Anawahi too.
I've never seen it. Like, where is that available to watch?
You can go on Amazon Prime. Type it
It's
in.
on Amazon
It's
Prime?
available
All
on
right.
there. Yep.
I always remember hearing about it, and I never watched it. I didn't know all these were. I know Gene was in it, but I didn't know everybody else was.
Gene's the star. Samu played Jeb Tucker, who's our killer. Afa did his stunts. I actually got on my arm a tattoo of Jeb Tucker right here.
That's awesome.
Yep. Go check it out, man. 100 Acres of Hell.
There it is. Well, it is spooky season, so go for us. It's spooky season. Go watch this.
Perfect.
For you, it's probably New Year's, but it's always spooky season. Go watch.
It's like Christmas.
Yeah, I would literally scrap every other holiday there. Just keep Halloween all year round. But that'll do it for the ABJ podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. We're out of here.